What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Parentis Perspective Show here on KCXL 102.9 FM and 11:40 a.m. I hope everybody is having a fantastic Monday and had a fantastic week. We got a lot to cover in the show today. It's going to be very, very interesting, so let's jump right into it. So the first thing we should talk about is the state of the race. I think that's always important. Everyone wants to know what's going on with the race. Everyone wants opinions on what's going on with the race, because this is honestly an intense election, ladies and gentlemen, and every day matters for Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton at this point. Like, this is going to be a nail-biter. I have a feeling this is going to be a nail-biter. If you look at the polls, they don't say it's going to be a nail-biter. The polls, they want you to believe that it's going to be Hillary Clinton blowout city. But that's just because they don't want people to go vote. So that's the one thing you have to understand about the media, ladies and gentlemen, is they absolutely want to keep people from going to the polls and voting for Donald Trump. Because if people go to the polls and start voting for Donald Trump, then we're going to have a little bit of a problem because the media can't push their narrative. They want to push their narrative. They don't want Donald Trump winning. They want Hillary Clinton winning. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, Hillary Clinton cannot win this election on her own. She can't do it. She doesn't have the ability to win this election on her own. That's why she needs the media. That's why she needs Obama. That's why she needs Bill Clinton. She needs all these charming people who actually have personalities and who actually can appeal to people. She needs them, right? She can't do it herself. If you watch Hillary Clinton out there, she looks pathetic. She looks horrible. She does not know how to function. She doesn't have any people skills. She's just a horrible communicator. She doesn't know how to do it. That's why she has all these people out here with her trying to help her do it. And that's the important thing you got to realize, ladies and gentlemen. That's why the media is pushing for her so hard. But the big thing is that this was a great week for Donald Trump. This last week was a fantastic week for Donald Trump. Last Monday, it wasn't looking good, right? The polls weren't looking good. Donald Trump was down big time in the polls. That's kind of switched around. But again, you can't really just pay attention to the polls. Like, you can't look at some of these polls, and you have to look of what type of people they're polling as well. If you're getting these poll results back and they're polling people and they're like, oh, look, ladies and gentlemen, here is a poll. We're polling potential voters. No. Potential voters? Are you kidding me? Don't believe anything that's potential anything, because that doesn't mean they're going to. Registered voters. Every single poll where they poll registered voters, Trump is doing amazing. And that was these recent polls that came out. There was a poll that came out with the LA Times. He was only down 4 points. And then in the Real Clear Politics average, he's only down 4 points. So Donald Trump's definitely turning things around, and that was throughout the course of this week. But this was a fantastic week for Donald Trump, not just because of the polls, but because he was able to show leadership, right? You're running for president of the United States. Right now, Obama's president of the United States, right? He has no leadership. We've had no leadership for the past 8 years because Obama's just been all over the place. No leadership at all. So Americans are kind of like thirsty, even if you don't support Donald Trump, right? Even for these Americans that don't support Donald Trump, that want somebody else, that think Donald Trump's mean, bigot, racist, whatever, these people still seek leadership. It's kind of natural because, people want to be led. People want to have some sort of authority. It's kind of psychology. It's a psychological thing, but it's what people want. And so when electing president, believe it or not, you will subconsciously make your decision based on leadership qualities that you see in that person. Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump had about the same, in terms of leadership coming into this election because, she was Secretary of State, she was doing all that, and she can portray the leadership role because her husband's Bill Clinton, she was First Lady, etc. Donald Trump came in as a businessman, head of the Trump organization. Both of these people are very strong leaders. Hillary Clinton tends to be more of an aggressive, mean-hearted, I'm going to let my people die on the battlefield because I don't care about them leader. But Donald Trump is more of the, caring leader. But Louisiana, this whole Louisiana situation, I talked about this a lot last week on the show. But I think this Louisiana situation really turned the race around for Donald Trump. I really think it did. So if you guys have been paying attention to the news at all, you'll know that there was that massive flooding that was going on in Louisiana. Just horrible stuff. And President Obama's MIA. Now, I made this comparison last week on the show, but I'm going to make it again since this is going to the radio audience rather than the podcast audience online. By the way, I do a weekly online podcast. You can check that out. I have a couple YouTube channels. Dylan's Daily Show, where I just do kind of funny skits, funny stuff. And then I have a podcast channel called Too Savage for Democrats. You can go there, kind of check out. I do a daily podcast. Very interesting stuff, very good stuff. So the flood happens. Obama's nowhere to be found, right? This flood's going down. Obama's nowhere. You can't find him anywhere. He's at Martha's Vineyard golfing. All right, there's caskets floating through the flood waters. People are dying in Louisiana. Obama's nowhere to be found. Now, when this first happened, I said to myself, and I said to the audience, look, we shouldn't make a big deal about this. This isn't that big of a deal. This is just, and I really push for the president deserves a break narrative, which I still think he does. I think if you're president of the United States, you deserve a vacation. And I don't think that's disputable. I mean, I think that, you're leading the free world. You deserve a vacation. And I think that's fine. So he's allowed to go to Martha's Vineyard, right? Bush took vacations as well. He went to his ranch down in Texas. They all take vacations because it's a very stressful job. It's probably the most stressful job on the face of the planet. So they do that. But here's the comparison I want to make, okay? If you run a business, right, and you decide to take a vacation, which is fine. You can do that as a business owner too. If you run a business and you decide to take a vacation, and your business starts on fire while you're on vacation, you don't stay on vacation and send somebody else to tend to it. No, you leave vacation, you go back to the fire, and you're on your business, and you get everything figured out with insurance, get everything figured out, everything like that. That's what you do, right? If you're in charge of that business, you step up and take responsibility when catastrophe strikes. Now, President Obama was elected. The United States is like his business, and the people in Louisiana voted for him too. The people put you in charge of that business. So it's not like you started it, right? The people are like, okay, we trust you to be in charge of this business. So they trusted President Obama to be in charge of this business. Catastrophe strikes, all right? The Louisiana floods were like the fire at the business. Where is he? He's golfing, right? He's golfing. He sends Jay Johnson down there, and Jay Johnson says, oh, I'm sorry, Obama can't be everywhere that he wants to be. What do you mean he can't be everywhere that he wants to be? He's golfing. Clearly he's doing what he wants to be doing right now, right? It irritates me so much. And this is the sort of thing that has irritated me about the Obama administration since he took office, is that it's so obvious. It's blatantly obvious that he doesn't care about the people. Hillary Clinton's the same way, except Hillary Clinton doesn't even pretend to care about the people. If Obama was running for president right now, he would be at the flood location. Hillary Clinton didn't even bother going. She didn't even bother showing up. She's just like, I need to rest. She didn't even bother. And that irritates me, but at least, the voters for her, if you're still voting for Hillary Clinton at this point, you're beyond any help, right? You need psychological assistance if you're voting for Hillary Clinton. But Obama doesn't even show up. Now, apparently he's going to go this week or next week, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's fine, but that's after it happened, right? The shock and awe of the floods, the time when we needed a leader, has already passed. If you're showing up a week, 2 weeks after the floods, you've already failed as a leader, right? If there's a catastrophe and you're the leader and you show up a week or 2 weeks after, then you're too late, right? There's a time span in which the leader is necessary in these catastrophe situations, and that's to go down there and help with everything right off the bat. You need to be there. There's that famous picture of George Washington, the boat. They're sailing across the river, and George Washington's right in the front. The Revolutionary War. Right after the Revolutionary War, when we needed a leader, George Washington stepped up to be that leader. Right? And that's a dumb comparison, I know, because it's like, but I'm making the comparison just to kind of show you guys what I mean. We need a leader. And Obama failed. Now, who was down there? Donald Trump. Donald Trump and Mike Pence showed up. Now, you could say that it's for politics. That's fine. But either way, he shows up. So the American people, the media, can try to hide. They can try to make Donald Trump look like a racist. They can try to hide stories. They can try to make him look like a horrible person. But they can't hide the fact that he showed up. And the American people saw that. And I think a lot of the American people respected that. They respected that Donald Trump showed up to the floods when the people needed him. When the people needed a leader, he stepped up. Now, liberals, of course, he was just handing out Play-Doh. He wasn't helping anybody. It doesn't matter. He could have gone down there and peed in a porta potty, and he would have done more than Obama did. Just going down there was more. Now, Obama requested that no cameras or anything be following him around. That's good. They got a couple pictures of him with a phone. Someone took some videos with a phone, but there weren't any. The media didn't go down there with Trump. He said, no, I want to go down there by myself, because he wasn't looking for the media attention. He was looking to actually help people. Now, the media says, if you watch CNN, if you watch MSNBC, if you watch all these other stations, they want to tell you that the reason Trump went down there is for attention. But the people down there that Trump helped, they say a completely different story. They say that Trump actually was helping and that it was a good situation. But, you know, it's just so irritating to me because if you think about it, and it's so obvious. If you voted for Obama, you should be seeing this by now. It's so obvious that all Obama does is play politics. That's all he absolutely does. That's all he cares about, and that's all he does. When he was running for president in 2012 and Hurricane Sandy hit, right? By the way, he criticized George Bush in 2005 for not handling Hurricane Katrina well. Oh, Bush didn't do it very well. Bush didn't handle Katrina. This flood's the worst flood in Louisiana since Hurricane Katrina, and Obama's nowhere to be found, by the way, just adding that in before. But, so, Hurricane Sandy hits, he's running for president in 2012. He's right there, right? Immediately. He shows up on the scene. Any gun crime happens. You know, there's a shooting. Some sick-minded person shoots kids. Some sick-minded person gets his hands on a gun, shoots, does a mass shooting. Obama's right there. You don't even have to wonder. He's already on the plane on the way there. Why? Because it's politics, right? A true leader wouldn't just show up when it helps him politically. A true leader would show up regardless of the situation. And again, Trump shows up regardless of the situation. Trump represents a true leader. Obama doesn't. And I think that's why you see a lot of the American people kind of craving a leader. That's why they've liked Donald Trump. Because Donald Trump represents a leader, and he's represented a leader since he started running for president. A lot of the other candidates in the race didn't. You know, Ted Cruz had good ideology. He was a conservative. He just didn't have the leadership that Donald Trump had. Marco Rubio was charming. Marco Rubio was likable. He didn't have the leadership. Right? John Kasich probably had the leadership Trump had. He just wasn't likable enough. Donald Trump is not likable, but he's an alpha. He's a leader, and people seek that. Remember, we're living in a country, ladies and gentlemen, where we haven't had a leader for 8 years. We've been lacking leadership for 8 years. And now people are saying, oh my gosh, we finally have somebody who I trust to lead this country, who can lead us to a better life and help bring jobs back to this country and will renegotiate trade deals. And I trust Donald Trump with that responsibility. And that's why they're liking Donald Trump so much. But Louisiana, off the topic of leadership, I just wanted to talk about that because I think it's very important. But off the topic of leadership, Louisiana really turned things around for Donald Trump. I think you're going to start to see some polls come out this week and next week where he's kind of closing that gap. I always thought that Donald Trump was, 3 to 5 points behind. I didn't think all these 10-point polls are complete BS. Just complete and total BS. He's not actually trailing her by 10 points, right? That's the media oversampling Democrats, which they admit, by the way. ABC has it on their website. They list the amount of Democrats or Republicans that they poll, and it's always Democrats being oversampled every single time. It's never Republicans. What did scare me, though, I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, is when Donald Trump was trailing in that Georgia poll. He was losing in Georgia to Hillary Clinton. Like, how do you lose in Georgia to Hillary Clinton, right? But anyway, that's that. But we seriously need to look at these polls when they start coming out this week because I think this made the difference for Donald Trump. I think Donald Trump turned things around this week, and he really needed to do something because this is the time that a lot of people are going to start making their decision. A lot of people start making their decision right now. This is like crunch time for Donald Trump. Now, we had the we have the debates coming up, but that's where you kind of convince people that are maybe on the edge, right, that haven't quite made up their mind yet. That's when you convince them. That's where you convince, there's a lot of people then too. But right now is crunch time because now you got to start appealing to a large majority of people. The debates aren't going to help you if you don't have a solid following going into them, right? You need to have people that support you already. And so Donald Trump is definitely doing a good job. Now, this week he kind of flushed out his staff and rehired people who actually know what they're doing, thank goodness. His campaign manager, I think, was an ex-Cruz pollster. It's his woman. I keep forgetting her name. But Paul Manafort stepped down after that whole giving money to different countries and stuff like that. We're not going to cover that. I mean, I know it's important to cover, but I really don't care. Paul Manafort doesn't work for them anymore, so there's really no need. That's the only thing you're going to see the media covering, though, by the way, is that story. But I honestly don't care. I don't want to cover it. I don't want to waste time with it. It's a non-story. But anyway, we have a lot more to talk about today, but I just wanted to get the state of the race out here at the beginning. I do think that Donald Trump turned this thing around this week. And by the way, this is also around the same time that Hillary Clinton loses her post-convention bump, so that's good for Donald Trump as well. But either way, he's turning things around. He's making an effort, a conscious effort, to try to pick up more voters, and I really respect that, and I think that's good, and I think the American people respect that. So that's the state of the race here on this Monday. Let's move on with more stories in the news. All right, so we know that this is basically the time of the sensitive feelings. 2016 has been the year of the sensitive feelings. It's been the year of the emotion. It's been the year of please give me everything I need. And this story that I'm about to report to you guys from the Daily Caller is just so sickening. I get sick of reading these sometimes, to be honest, but they're all over the news, and they're just so disgusting that you might as well. So, West Virginia University, calling someone the wrong pronoun is a federal anti-discrimination law. It's a violation of that. So, and it's a gender pronoun. So basically, he, she, whatever. So if I walk up to somebody at this West Virginia University, and this is just an example of how ridiculous colleges around the United States are becoming. There's hardly any decent ones anymore. We've got a couple good ones that are on the conservative side, but the rest of them, you don't even learn anything anymore. You just sit there and get pounded with liberal media bias and why Trump is racist, and here's don't assume my gender, you racist bigot. Right? That's the reality of it. Anyway, so referring to someone by the wrong gender pronoun is a violation of the federal anti-discrimination law, according to the West Virginia University's office. This was signed into law by Richard Nixon in 1972. Discrimination of the basis of sex in any federally funded education program or activity. Among other things, this forced college athletic programs to treat men and women's programs the same, leading to a vast expansion of female NCAA. So this was passed by Nixon, right? And the reason this was passed was because, by the way, this is Title IX, which was signed by Nixon in 1972. Now, basically, what this is, and it was signed so that, for these college universities, so they could treat female and male sports the same, right? That's what it was made for. This wasn't made for deciding in the morning what gender you are type of crap, right? And it's almost impossible to keep up with that gender crap anyway now. I literally don't even know who I'm. It's like they're trying to confuse you at this point. Like, so basically what they're saying is in this story, and we're going to get into more into the story, and it's just disgusting, is that if I were to walk up to somebody, right, I were to say, hey, sir, what's going on, man? Or something like that. Just typical conversation starter, right? It doesn't sound typical. It sounds stupid when you just say it for a reason. But if I go up to somebody, hey, what's going on, man? And they're a woman, or they feel like they're a woman, apparently I just violated Title IX, and that's against the school's regulation. I could be kicked out. I don't know what the punishment is. We're going to look at the punishment later in the story, but that's what it is, right? That's what happens. If I walk up to somebody and say, what's going on, man? And it's a woman, or it feels like a woman, then I'm screwed. Now, I am all in favor of the transgender thing, just as long, and that's going to be controversial, people aren't going to agree with that, but just hear me out. I am totally fine with you changing your gender if it's not bothering anybody else, right? If you're not restricting my freedom by changing your gender, that's fine. Now, that doesn't mean I want you to go to the bathroom. The only time you can go to the opposite bathroom is if you've actually had the gender reassignment surgery and everything like that. But I'm fine with you deciding that you want to be a different gender, right? Johns Hopkins proved that's a mental disorder. Right, and which is fine. Again, I'm not saying that you're a bad person if you change your gender or that you're any less of a human. You're still a human. You still deserve rights. I'm very libertarian in that regard, in which I think that if you want to change your gender, you can. We ought not to control what people can do with their own personal bodies, but that doesn't mean that I think that you should restrict what I can say. If I go up to a group of people, apparently saying "hey guys," by the way, is also sexist. You can't go to a group of people and say, hey, guys. But, that's just, which is restricting your freedom, right? If I have to watch what pronouns I'm saying constantly, that's restricting my freedom. I have a problem with that. I absolutely have a problem with that. I think that's wrong. So, again, it's fine if it's if you're doing it on your own, if you wake up, you decide you're the opposite gender, you want to have the gender reassignment surgery, all that. I'm not going to harass you for that. I think that's fine. You can do whatever you want. Literally, you can do whatever you want. I don't care. When you start restricting my freedoms and trying to control what I can do and or say, that's when it's a problem. That's when it's a problem, right? And I think the majority of logical people agree. I mean, there's probably some people listening who don't agree, which is fine. You have the right to disagree. You can disagree with me, but I personally think that if you decide to change your gender, that's on you, right? That's your decision. That's all you. But let's get more into this story, this is just a sign again of the destruction of our society, though. I'm kidding, obviously, but at the point where you have to watch what pronouns you say. And this is what irritates me about these stories. Why do I have to watch what pronouns I say? Why can't I say he, she, her, whatever? Why? I don't want to, I don't want to have to watch what I say 24/7 constantly. I want to be able to speak freely and not have to censor myself, which I do think is a violation of freedom. I think having to watch my pronouns, I think having to censor myself so I'm not offending anybody is absolutely a violation of my freedom. Like 100%, there's no question. So, again, it forced the leg of vast expansion of the USA. Today, Title IX is used to coerce individuals into affirming transgender persons' self-defined gender identity. Although Title IX only prohibits discrimination on the basis of sex, some on the left have argued that the term, quote, sex should be used to include gender identity and gender expression. West Virginia University's Title IX office informs students that federal law, as interpreted by the school, so that's funny. So they're not even like using the actual law. They're admitting that, oh, it's interpreted by the school. So now schools can interpret laws however they want, and they can just give them to you however they want. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what they say. It doesn't matter what the actual law is. If the school interprets it differently, well, that's what it is. Let's see. As interpreted by the school, guarantees students the right to be called by the name and pronouns consistent with your gender identity. Now, let me ask this, because this is an interesting question. I know maybe there's someone listening that goes to school, if you're listening to the online show. Probably not on the radio show. But what if you now I understand that in a way, if you've known somebody for a while, right? If I know that, let's say there's Robert, right? Robert's over here. Robert feels like a man. He wants to change his gender to a woman. He wants to change his gender to a woman, and he wants to go by Roberta, right? That's fine. If I know Robert and I know that he wants to do that, if you haven't had the surgery yet, you still look like a man. You're still walking around, you look like a man, right? It's obvious when it's a man. Even if you put on the wig and the makeup and all that, you still look like a man. Like, it's pretty obvious if you haven't had the surgery yet. So, someone comes up. I know Robert personally. I know that he identifies as a woman, so yeah, I can call him Robert. But what if somebody comes over here, doesn't know Robert personally, has no idea that he wants to change his gender, and calls him Robert, or calls him man, or what's up, sir, whatever. Calls him by a masculine pronoun. Did he just violate Title IX? See, I don't think so, because that person didn't know Robert was transitioning, because he hadn't actually transitioned yet. So you can't let out this blanket statement that, oh, well, if people should be doing, you can't tell sometimes. There's a huge gray area with this that I think people are, it's just stupid. And it's just, it's irritating me to no end that, first of all, we even have to deal with this in 2016. But again, I'm fine with it, just as long as it isn't against anybody else's freedom or infringing on anybody else's freedom. But again, it's 2016. Let it go. Anyway, but so they say, the gender identity. More generally, West Virginia University says all students have, quote, the right to be treated according with the gender you identify with. The school offers a handy guide on proper pronoun usage. So you go to this school, you not only get a subpar liberal bias education, you also get a handy-dandy pronoun guide, ladies and gentlemen. So why are you not already signing up for West Virginia University? You should be already on their website applying right now. So it explains how to swap out pronouns such as he, him, and his for gender-neutral pronouns such as v, ver, and vis. Are you kidding me? So, oh my gosh. So they want you to say v, ver, and vis. So the guide offers a plethora of pronoun choices for these students and employees to use, including the Spivak pronoun, A, E-Y. The sentence, his eyes gleam. The glide So his eyes gleam, you should start saying eyes gleam. E-I-R. Well, I think that sounds like her. That's offensive. Is too close to her. I can't deal with it. We can't have that. Sounds too close to her. Can't do it. So now instead of saying his eyes gleam, you have to say eyes gleam. This is like some Shakespearean crap going on. I mean, what the Moses? Why do we have to do this? This is just, and see, every time I report these stories, I get frustrated. Every single time I talk about this, I get frustrated. This is so frustrating. Eyes gleam. Are you kidding me? V, and vis. No. How about him or her? That's just easy. Everybody knows that. Why do we have to change it when you're in college? These poor kids going to college. Why? I just can't even handle it. I'm literally at my wit's end with this liberal, and it seems like every single day there's just a new preference for these people. It's like they're never satisfied. They just want more, and then they want more, and then they want more, and that's just, and I've been saying that all along. It's like pretty soon you're going to see people identifying as animals.
No, they're not going to identify as animals. Why would you say that? You don't even understand how it works.
I absolutely understand how it works. I understand how it works. But these people just want more and more and more. There will be somebody one day, mark my words on the show, there will be somebody eventually that identifies as an animal. And if I hope that I'm wrong, but I do absolutely think that there will be somebody one day that identifies as an animal. It's disgusting. People want to be just everything. They want to fit in. And apparently that's the way to fit in now, is to not be the gender you were born with, is just to fit in now. But yeah, and I'm not going to do that. Personally, I would never go along with this. If my university started trying to change what pronouns I could use, I wouldn't care. I would still call people him, her. Because honestly, the majority of the time, there's very few transgender people that go to minorities. There's very few transgender people in the world in comparison with the rest of the population. So the chances that you're going to accidentally call somebody the wrong pronoun is slim. I mean, how many transgender people do you know? I can think of like 2 that I know. I mean, actually 1. One that I can think of off the top of my head that I actually have had conversation with, right? So the chances of you actually, now obviously we all know Bruce Jenner and the popular. I'm talking about people you actually know personally that you've had a conversation with. I can think of 1 in my case. So obviously, you know, you may call someone the wrong pronoun at some point, but the chances of that happening are very slim. It's not like you're going to walk in the street and you have to be scared. It's like transgenders all over the place. No. But I feel like there are more transgenders now than there were before, just because it's trendy right now, I guess. Quote unquote trendy. But yeah, I mean, the chance of it happening. But I honestly wouldn't go along with this. I'm not saying that if you go to that school that you should, you know, risk getting kicked out or risk getting punished because I said, don't listen to me, I'm an idiot. But that's just personally my thing. I wouldn't do that. But I just think this is stupid. So here's another quote. Some people may not want a lot of public attention to their pronouns, while others will appreciate you standing up for them. If someone uses the wrong pronoun for a person who isn't present, try a brief correction, the guide advises. West Virginia University Office of Equity Assurance investigates any Title IX related incidents reported to the university. And that's on the university website. In May, the Obama administration released a letter informing schools at the K through 12 level that under Title IX, the school must treat their students consistent with their gender identity, even if education records or identification documents indicate a different sex. That's just Obama playing politics again, obviously, trying to pick up voters for his party. But that's just disgusting. It shouldn't be K through 12. It should not be K through 12. Why can a kindergartner, why in any way can a kindergartner decide what gender he is? He's in kindergarten. You shouldn't be trying to decide what gender a kindergartner is. You've gone way off the deep end if you're trying to decide what gender you are as a kindergartner. I mean, when I was a kindergartner, I had no idea what I wanted to be when I got older. I thought everyone wanted to be a firefighter. Everyone wanted to be a superhero, whatever you wanted to be. That was what you wanted to be then. You didn't even know what you wanted to be. You don't know what you want. You don't know what your passion is. You barely know how to count. You don't know what noise the cow makes, right? She has those little toys. The cow goes moo. But you're allowed to pick your gender, so you barely know how to count. You don't know what noise all the animals make. You don't know what animals look like. All the animals. You can't match a name to a look with animals. You don't have a full vocabulary yet. Your brain isn't fully developed, but you can change your gender. What? It makes absolutely no sense. Why can you change your gender if your brain isn't fully developed? If you can't make that decision yet? I think that there should be a limit on what age you can change your gender. And I'm just kind of throwing that out there. I just thought of that right now. Legitimately just thought of that. But it's not that bad of an idea. Make it 18. Make it 18. Once you turn 18, you can change your gender. Especially, that's great for parents, too, because then parents don't have to deal with it. Right? Parents don't have to. Once the kid turns 18, they're a legal adult. They can make their own decisions. So let them change their gender then. I mean, I think that gets rid of a lot of hassle for the parents of having to deal and pay for these gender reassignment surgeries. Make it so it's 18. Make it so you won't perform a gender reassignment surgery on anybody until they turn 18. I think that might already be a law. But don't even let them change their gender in the law until they're 18. Just for not only the reassignment surgery, in the name of the law, they should be the gender they are assigned with until they turn 18. Then you can start changing stuff. Because then if a 15-year-old decides that he feels like he's a woman, he's got 3 years to decide if that's actually what he wants. A lot of these people decide and then have their surgery, and then 2 months after the surgery are like, wait, this was a mistake. I'm not actually a woman. I'm actually a man. I want to be a man again, right? So that's just, I don't know. I just found this story pretty interesting. Thought you guys would like it as well. But we got a lot more to cover today on the show. So, again, this is the Parentis Perspective Show here on KCXL 102.9 FM and 1140 AM, where it's all good. Let's continue with the show. All right, so there's been a lot of question over the past couple of weeks and days about Hillary Clinton's health situation. She's obviously not doing that well health-wise. She'll deny it. A lot of the Clinton supporters will deny it. They like to go say Donald Trump is actually the one who's not healthy because, he's just Donald Trump. But in reality, Hillary Clinton is not healthy. And Hillary Clinton is not doing well. It's pretty obvious. I mean, you saw that video where the reporters are questioning her and she's sitting there like seizing. Her head's just shaking all over the place. Really weird. There's that clip of her on stage where she's talking and then all of a sudden she just kind of freezes. And then that guy comes upstairs on stage who we think is a doctor, and he says, keep talking, keep talking, keep talking. Eventually she keeps talking. We've seen all those videos, and we've seen that her health isn't in good shape. Now, she doesn't want to talk about it. None of the Clinton surrogates want to talk about it. They just laugh it off, just like they do with every single controversy, every single thing that Hillary Clinton's hiding. They just laugh it off because they don't think it's an issue. Now, I personally think health is a major issue, especially if you're going to be president of the United States. You should probably have pretty good health. If you're going to be president of the United States for 8 years, or 4 years at least, probably 8 years, because most get second terms. If Obama got a second term, most get second terms. That was pathetic. He shouldn't have gotten one. Romney was a horrible campaigner. But if you're going to be leading the country for at least, 4 years, probably 8, you should make sure that your health is okay. I mean, you got to be traveling around to different countries. You got to be in daily briefings, a lot of stress, which stress can exaggerate and make worse a lot of problems worsen, I should say, a lot of problems that already exist. So if she's having problems with her, and I don't really think she has early onset Parkinson's. A lot of people, she has early onset Parkinson's. What I think's going on, and this is what I've seen just, looking at medical experts analyzing what she's been doing, she needed help getting up the stairs, things like that. She had that fall when she was Secretary of State. A lot of people think she had a stroke. I think she's got some neurological problems going on. I think she's got, some screws loose up there. I don't think she's like crazy, but I think she has some neurological problems going on. She's got those weird holes in her tongue. I mean, just her health is not in good shape. But she is not doing well. Now, a lot of people want to cover that up. Like I said, the Clinton campaign won't talk about it. And a lot of the liberals want to cover it up. They don't want to talk about it because they know that if any of this information gets out there, she's screwed. If the American people start finding out that her health isn't in good shape, she's screwed. And it's the media's job, unfortunately, to save Hillary Clinton, to back Hillary Clinton in this election. I mean, the New York Times has been doing it. CNN's been doing it. If you watch CNN at night, first of all, I don't even really watch television news at this point in the election because everybody has an opinion. Every one of these commentators has an opinion. And so, but here's what irritates me. Like, you listen to my show, you watch my YouTube channel, you listen to my online podcast, listen to my radio show. You know that I support Trump, right? I'm not trying to hide that from you. I'm clearly giving you facts. Like this Hillary Clinton health thing, these are facts. But I'm clearly for Trump, right? I'm not sitting here saying this is the independent Parentis Perspective show. By the way, Hillary Clinton isn't horrible. You know what I mean? Like, I'm clearly giving you facts. But I also support Trump. And I'm not trying to deceive you by telling you that I'm an independent source and that this is my independent news, and then clearly, no, I'm not at all. But that's what the media does. That's what irritates me about these people online or on the TV, Don Lemon, Anderson Cooper, all these people, Megyn Kelly, a lot of people on Fox as well, is they'll go on there, they'll tell you they're independent, and then they sit there and they bash Trump for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever, however long, 4 hours. It's 7 to 10 every night on CNN. It's just cancer. But that's what they do. They deceive you into thinking they're right. So that's what irritates me. So I mostly just read news now because, you kind of you can read news and interpret it how you want. You don't have to get that liberal spin. Although there is a ton of liberal spin. But once you get the good websites down that I use, and you start reading off those websites, Breitbart, the Daily Caller, Rare US, all these sites that tend to be more right-wing leaning, then I think you start to get a more fair representation. Because unfortunately, the people on the right are more moderate than the people on the left. Right? The people on the left can't be because, again, their job is to protect Hillary Clinton. People on the right are still pretty accurate. So anyway, New York Times tech columnist, this is on Breitbart, calls on Google to hide Hillary Clinton's health info. This is a New York Times tech columnist. So he's calling on Google to cover up the Hillary Clinton health info. Now, I understand why he's reaching out to Google. You remember Google was the one who hid the Hillary Clinton crime thing, Hillary Clinton criminal. There was this whole time, and I think it's still like this. If you search Hillary Clinton CRI in Google, it'll say Hillary Clinton crime bill. It'll be positive stuff, right? If you search Hillary Clinton CRI in Bing and in Yahoo, it says Hillary Clinton criminal, Hillary Clinton criminal investigation, Hillary Clinton, you know what I mean? The results are obviously the popular results of her criminal investigation. This was all during the FBI thing, so the criminal investigation was very popular. But Google covered it up. Now, they say we just don't like to show search results, negative search results for anybody. Donald Trump, it's negative all the time on Google. But that's beside the point. So I understand why this New York Times tech columnist went to Google. Because Google, if you want it being covered up, Google's the way to go. So they call on Google. Let's see. So it's Farhad Manju is the name of the tech artist. He's calling on Google to fix its search engine results to hide evidence of Hillary Clinton's failing health. So this guy's a liberal, right? Works for the New York Times, clearly liberal, clearly biased. He even admits that Hillary Clinton's got health issues. That should be enough. Ladies and gentlemen, that should be enough right there. Even if Google does listen and hide the information, it should be enough that liberals are admitting there is a problem that's worthy of hiding. I mean, that's basically what they're admitting at this point. There is a problem that's prevalent enough to hide from the American people. I mean, why do we even have a media anymore? Why do we even have it? It's just basically liberal mouthpieces all over the place. It's just pushing the agenda constantly. Let's defend Bernie Sanders saying that global warming is the true evil in the world and that it causes all the problems that we go through and everything like that. But anyway, so go online and put Hillary Clinton illness and take a look at the videos yourself. Rudy Giuliani recently said on Fox News during an argument on how Clinton really is. Manju of the Times called for Google to fix the problem of search results, possibly hurting the Democratic Party nominee. Google should fix this, is a quote. Google should fix this. It doesn't give quarter to conspiracy theories. So that was his thing, is that this is a conspiracy theory, even though it's clearly not a conspiracy theory. I mean, you can't make up what you see. Conspiracy theory is you didn't actually see it happen. Right? And there's different kinds of conspiracies. I mean, obviously, assuming that Hillary Clinton has a neurological problem is a kind of a conspiracy. But there's evidence that we've seen that would lead me to believe that, right? It's not like I'm waking up one morning And let's see, what would be a good thing that I could say about Hillary Clinton? Let's just pretend she has neurological issues. There's no evidence to back it up. Let's just pretend. No, okay, that's not what's happening. There's plenty of evidence to show that she has some neurological issue going on up there, and that's why he wants to cover it up. So if you go to Google, you can find the information. If you go to Google, you can find the videos. He's trying to cover that up. This Fernando Manju or whatever. Let's get his name again because I can't even remember it. Farhad Manju. Farhad Manju doesn't feel like you should know about Hillary Clinton's health issues. He thinks, Farhad Manju, thinks that we should try to cover up Hillary Clinton's health issues because the American people don't deserve to know the health of the people running for president of the freaking United States. You just don't deserve to know. And this is, again, the media trying to cover things up. I just wanted to report this to you guys. But, again, this is just disgusting. Google, definitely keep it up. I mean, Google also owns YouTube. Google owns YouTube. So if they start covering stuff up, that's a problem. And we've got a problem. They're the biggest search engine in the world. We don't want them covering stuff up. I personally still prefer Google to Bing and Yahoo. I think they're a great search engine. They just do a great job, even though they do have that liberal spin. But I don't think it's that bad. And they do a really good job of not censoring people either. They do a great job of not censoring people. I mean, Alex Jones, his YouTube channel's still up. And he's posting all the, the conspiracies and everything like that. YouTube doesn't even care. They keep it up. Google. But yeah, that's just, I don't know. I'd be interested to hear your guys' opinion on that. You can comment down below the video if you're watching this on YouTube. Comment down below the video. Let me know. Do you think Google should hide this, or do you think that they should keep all this information out there? Let me know. So apparently Vladimir Putin, who's really been stepping up recently, regardless of your opinion on Putin and what he does with his people, censoring and stuff like that, killing journalists, which there's really no solid proof of that, but people say it happens. There's a lot of evidence of people just, mystically disappearing. He's been stepping up in the world recently, being a leader in the world. And he's been doing it. And a lot of people respect that. The people in Russia like him. He's been stepping up in the world as a leader. And apparently he's doing it again. But I don't know how well this one's going to go down. So apparently, according to Breitbart, Putin said he is willing to host Israeli-Palestinian peace talks. Now, talking about Russia, I do think, just want to get this out there, that we should be allies with Russia. I think Russia is one of our natural allies. I think the last thing we need is to be starting conflict with Russia. If you look at Hillary Clinton, she wants to start conflict with Russia. It's funny because Hillary Clinton, Russia hates her. Putin hates Hillary Clinton. I mean, it's obvious. He just despises the woman, even though remember she sold all that uranium to Russia for money? Because that's all she cares about is money. She doesn't care about the American people, which is exactly what she would do as president. They still hate her. Breitbart still hates, not Breitbart. What am I talking about? I was looking at the Breitbart news. Breitbart probably hates her too, but Russia hates Hillary, just despises her, and it's hilarious because she thinks she's this world leader who's done so much good. She did the Russian reset, sold uranium, can't get anything from them. They still hate her. She thinks she's this popular figure in the world. Meanwhile, they're praising Donald Trump. Putin said he's the one great leader in the presidential race. Remember that? So they obviously like Trump over Clinton. But Putin said he's willing to host Israeli-Palestinian peace talks. Now, I don't think that this is really going to go anywhere. Even if he hypothetically did host these talks, Israel and Palestine, they hate each other. They're never going to get along. There's just such a difference in religion. And honestly, religion is kind of a problem in the sense that it's been starting wars. We've got these radical religions in the Middle East, especially the Islamic religion, all these Muslims. And I honestly think that the majority of Muslims are good. There's just a small percentage, as there is in every single religion. There's a certain percentage of people in every single religion who are crazy. If a Christian man shoots up a school, it's not because he's Christian, it's because he's a lunatic. Right? If you're willing to kill somebody, regardless of what your book says, you're a lunatic. I don't care if your book says you can kill people or not. You're a lunatic if you actually do it. You're taking a life from somebody, and that's stupid. But there's just such a difference in religion between Israel and Palestine that even if Putin were to sit these two countries down to have a little conversation, you're not going to get anything out of them. It's not like you're going to sit them down and yes, my friend, we'll sit down together, have some vodka, we'll get all this sorted out. No, it's not going to happen like that, right? They're going to sit there, they're going to talk. Maybe they'll come to some sort of agreement because they're, going to act cordial because they're both adults. But there's nothing going to change. Palestine still wants to murder all Jews. Jews still want to defend themselves. And again, there's just so much conflict. I hate taking sides in the Israel-Palestine conflict, but it's really hard, at this point at least, to not take the side of Israel. I mean, how are you going to take the side of Palestine? They're walking over there, killing Israeli kids, cutting off the heads of Israeli women, trying to rape Israeli, typical Islamic stuff. And Israel's defending themselves. Now, Israel does some pretty weird stuff as well, some stuff that's borderline illegal, violating international law. They built that wall, violated international law. But, again, it's nothing to compare what Palestine's doing. So I think at this point we have to defend Israel, which is logical. But Putin apparently wants to sit these people down and have a conversation. Now, this is a type of foreign policy that, is often debated. How do you deal with situations like what's going on, the tension between Israel and Palestine? And I've thought about this deeply. I like foreign policy. It's interesting. We have a situation where Israel and Palestine don't get along. Palestine feels like it is entitled to land that Israel took from them, that the Jews took for them, and they want that back, right? But the UN officially sees that as Israeli land. The majority of the world, even if they're not in the UN, see that as Israeli land. And so the Muslims are like, screw it, we'll take it back by force. If you're not going to give us what belongs to us, we'll take it back by force. Now, they feel like, I personally think that why not give the Jews land? I mean, they're being persecuted in the area. It doesn't matter if they have the land or not. They're being persecuted. So we should give them some sort of safe haven, which is what I think that this area is a little safe haven for the Jews. So I think that's fine. But we need to figure out, what's the best way to solve this problem that we have going on. Is the best way to solve the problem to... Drop my pen there almost. Is the best way to solve the problem to sit them down and have a conversation? Or is it to just go to war with these people who are trying to destroy Israel? To kind of fight them back. Now, we've tried going to war with, these radical Islamic groups over and over again. We try it all the time. It doesn't seem to work. It seems as if you go in there, you take out one group, another group just builds itself back up, then you got another problem. But is that just the reality that we live with? Or is that something that we need to stop doing? In other words, do we have to continue to take out all of these terrorist groups, as they spread out? We'll go in there, we'll take out one, another one builds up, take out that, another one builds up every 5 years. Do we live in a world in which we have to continue to take those groups out? Or do we live in a world where we just ignore that problem and we try to have peace talks? It's just, this is all a situation, but I like that Putin's trying, right? I think he's reaching out, but let's read into the story a little bit here. The Times of Israel reports, amid speculation over a developing Egyptian bid to revive a stalled Israeli-Palestine peace negotiations, Egypt's President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi late Sunday said that Russian President Vladimir Putin was willing to host Israeli and Palestinian leadership for direct talks. So they were already going to have these talks, and Putin saying, I'll host it. And I think that's good. Why not let him host it? You can have him in a country where, Putin seems pretty impartial to this. So let's let him host it. I mean, Putin actually hates... He had one of those quotes. He said, it's something like, you can believe in what was the quote? It was a really good Vladimir Putin quote. Something about, you can believe in whatever, Muslims believe in Allah. It's my job to send them there or whatever. I don't know. It was something like that. Something really cool. It's one of those give you shivers, give you goosebumps, kind of chills kind of quotes. Like, ooh, yeah, that's a badass quote. So he seems pretty impartial in this whole thing. But it's going to be interesting to see where this goes, these Israeli-Palestine talks. Because I think that... it's just hard to say what's going to happen. I mean, it's hard to predict if they'll go well or not. I think, relatively speaking, they'll do fine. I think that you can come to some sort of agreement. But honestly, again, this goes back. This isn't about, two countries that hate each other. This is about religion. This is about the Jewish religion and the Muslim religion not being compatible together. They're just not compatible in any way, shape, or form. The Muslims literally want everybody that doesn't believe in Sharia law to be killed. It says so in the Quran. I mean, that's not the exact quote, but I could pull up the exact quote if I wanted, but I'm lazy. But it says that. They want world domination of Islam. Now, obviously, Jews are standing in the way of that. So are Christians. So they want the death of Christians too. But I don't think that Muslims and Jews are compatible in the same world. I just don't think they are. I think there's always going to be conflict between those two religions. Even if you were to draw up some sort of temporary peace negotiation thing, right? Like some sort of deal, that's not going to stop it. It's just the governments may say, oh, okay, we'll be peaceful or whatever. But that doesn't mean that the people there aren't going to do anything. And that's what concerns me, is that it's a false sense of security. You know what I mean? It's like this kind of false sense of, oh, hey, we're safe now because we came to this. But I don't know. It's interesting to see. Foreign policy right now is just a complete and total disaster. How we deal with this thing is a complete and total disaster. And I think that's going to be a big issue in the presidential election. I mean, it already has been with terrorism. And Hillary Clinton has the upper hand in foreign policy. A major upper hand in foreign policy, especially going into these debates. I mean, she is... Regardless of how well she did, she was Secretary of State. And I think that Trump needs to somehow override that, because she can go up on stage in those debates and she can be like, hey, I was Secretary of State. I have more experience with all these countries. So that's why you should elect me in such a time of, sensitive foreign policy, blah, blah, blah. Trump can't really defend against that. I mean, he was CEO of the Trump Organization. He doesn't have any foreign policy experience at all. I mean, he's probably gone over there and talked to some leaders, for business purposes. But that's pretty much it, right? He has really no foreign policy experience. So he has to find a way to counter that. I think he has the upper hand in when it comes to the economy. But foreign policy is going to be a big issue, a driving issue in the campaign. And moving forward, if Trump wants to win, he needs to figure out how he's going to counter her foreign policy experience, because he needs to show that he's more. But again, the leadership thing really helps in that regard. Anyway, that's all we have time for today for the Apprentice Perspective Show on KCXL 102.9 FM and 1140 AM, where it's all good. My name is Dylan. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, if you're watching this on YouTube, leave a like, share the video. If you would like to see more, remember to subscribe. I will catch up with you guys next time. Bye-bye.